Okay, Senatapi, welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Power Hour and Wellness Wednesday. I just wanted to greet you. Nistuni Daniko Makoyo Sokoyi, and I'm coming to you live from Rio Rancho, where it is the big powwow time. This is, I was just looking at, look how big this schedule is. The Gathering of Nations. It might be backwards, 2024, but it starts tomorrow. So I just wanted to say welcome, to Native Wellness Wednesday. I'm coming to you live from the Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Woohoo! I'm just, and as you can see, it's 84 Fahrenheit. It's too hot. In Indian and Blackfoot, we say it's too hot. When I left Bab, Montana before Cayo, it was 17 Fahrenheit. So welcome to, the Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque. And I didn't get to braid my hair yet, but that's okay. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. So what is our message today? Woohoo! I wanted to send out a message, that post pandemic, a lot of us are in reflection time. And that reflection time, I ask you to please consider going, in sign language, going and visiting your kinship, your blood kinship, your married into the family kinship, you're adopted. When you get in recovery, you have a family of choice. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. So the messages around are going to visit our kinship. So I'm just sharing with you. I got on my horse. That means get on your horse and go travel. And the people that you love, the love sign. So hi there, Janice, Marie, Gina. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday with Native Wellness Institute. So that message, and why should we go visit, and why should we, even if your kinship isn't far away, you should plan a visit. If you still have your parents alive or your grandparents alive, please, I don't know how to overemphasize this, go and sit and listen. That's why we have two ears and one mouth. Go and sit and listen, and don't bring your phone. Put your phone on pause. Put your phone on airplane mode. Is So I'm coming down here. I came down here, and I'm visiting my brother Ira Newbreast, and I'm visiting my best friends from college, Don Ami and Holly Ami, and I'm visiting one of my best friends, Susan Palmer. She doesn't know I'm here yet because I just arrived, and I'm not telling everyone where I'm at right now because I'm doing self-care. And in my self-care, it's working pretty good. In the self-care, I'm eating good. I'm napping. I'm just visiting and drinking good herbal tea and putting other stuff on a pause. But why should we visit our kinship? This morning, I got to sit with Minnie and Ira and the kids. The kids are all off at school. They have the best thing for children is routine, and I see a beautiful routine here of love. Waking up, greeting the morning, having their delicious breakfast, visiting, and we went out into the yard. I'm not outside because it's too hot for me right now. 84 Fahrenheit is too hot. So I'm going to go for a walk because I can start. I had the 5 basal cells removed and scooped out, and you can see they're healing. I'll have to cover them up. You see the stitches. I had a cancer here, a cancer here, a cancer here, a cancer, single cell carcinoma, and a cancer here. But they're April 3rd, April 10th, and a skin graft here. So they're healing up, and so I just wanted to announce that in my self-care, I'm pulling back on all uh, stressful things, good stress and bad stress, and just sleeping good, smudging. So I wanted to talk about just Eni for a moment, because my family has always respected the buffalo teachings and all of the 140 things that we can do with Eni the buffalo. And I was just reminded this morning, just with the kids, what they're here, and they're young, Stormy's very young, and the two young grandsons that are being raised in this household are just beautiful because their routine of they have a routine. Last night we were howling at the full moon, and I guess I can still feel the energy. Raise your hand if you can feel the energy of the full moon. The Natusi and the full moon, when you could feel it last night. So last night I was telling them we got to celebrate the full moon. Why is it important to celebrate the full moon, the new moon? We talked about the moon stories. We talked about, and I said, and it's good to come out here. So Nistu Nidaniko Makoyo Sekoyi. I said, I always, ever since I was a child, I would come out and I would sing, like howl with the moon. So last night we had howling. It was so funny because Stormy's just little. So her best was, that's how she was howling. But the grandsons were, so we had kind of like a little singing, howling at the moon and howling to Makoyi, to the wolf, and because they're all Blackfeet, and I'm Scott Pipikani Nisto, I'm Scott Pipikani. So we had just a beautiful celebration of the full moon last evening, and it lasted. That celebration lasted into our meal. Since I'm here, Grandma Betty, they love Grandma Betty. They used to call me Grandma Betty, but they now know I'm a different kinship. They're like it was just so cute. They were saying, "Is Ira your brother?" Because we live in Montana and they live down here in New Mexico. So then that was the first lesson. When children or their kinship is around, we have to start to explain kinship. Who's your cousins? I have 55 first cousins. I have hundreds of second cousins, thousands of third and fourth and fifth cousins. And I celebrated a birthday on the 20th, so I turned 68 years old. Still 68 years old, cancer-free, healthy. And I was explaining to them that I was at the age where when you get over 60 years old, you really need to visit eyeball to eyeball to visit your siblings. Eyeball to eyeball, visit your grandparents with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever, herbal mixture. So I drove down here, and I have to tell you, I realized my age because driving 1,500 miles, I just wanted to see if I could do it, but I could feel the fatigue at the end. When you're 30, it would always just, oh yeah, when we were young, my father, we were all five of us kids. He used to drive home from Oakland, California, 24 hours straight, up through Idaho, to Montana, Idaho Falls, Winnemucca, Nevada, Reno that way, and he'd drive up through Dillon. He'd drive up and come to Browning, Montana, 24 hours straight. And I used to sit up with him as his oldest child and read the map and say, Dad, because in those days we didn't have GPS. In those days we had physical atlas maps. And so I would stay up with him, and everybody else would snooze, but I would stay up with my father, and I would kind of like learn the route. So in my healing, in my self-healing, I came down that way through Idaho Falls, through Pocatello, and then I decided to take the back roads. And since it was Earth Day, and I was traveling on the 21st and the 22nd, I brought a bunch of tobacco, and I stopped. I stopped at different parts of the earth, and I put out tobacco for the water. I put out tobacco for Sacom, the earth. And I put out tobacco for, there was falling rocks at one place coming down on the road, the Natu Sokotoks, the holy rocks. I put out tobacco for the earth. And part of why I'm crying is I realize our earth is changing fast. Our earth is changing so fast from where our glaciers are, and I just saw the lack of good drinking water as I came down to, and now I'm in New Mexico. And I now see that water is precious here. Water is life. Water, water is always precious, but I can see here as I talked to people and talked about the Colorado water, and there is some snow, but the water is shrinking here in New Mexico. And I could see it shrinking in Utah. I could see the water, the fresh water was not available. So I just wanted to, it was Earth Day, and you have to have some action steps. Earth Day is just not, putting a meme or wearing a Earth Day t-shirt. it's so I just begged as I went. I just put out the tobacco and I begged as Shabbat to pity us. No guy kimoka no gaspomokut, pity us and our earth and how fast it's changing. And the goodness is, it's you. Oh gosh, I had slept good 8-9 hours, and I had really good dreams last night. That's why I dreamt about the the buffalo. So I'm inviting all of you, if you want to come to Sixakea to be the Blackfoot Confederacy and the Amskapi Pikani, starting June 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, that week of 2024, we bring together tribes who have a herd of buffalo. And now there's 85 plus tribes who have, smaller herds, like crows have maybe 900 on a plateau. There is the coming back, and that's in the prophecies when the buffalo return. There's even, like today, I really respect the Pueblos here. I respect all of them looking at, the source of the buffalo meat, and how good it is for indigenous people. So they're just beginning, to grow there, and they are each sovereign. All of the 574 tribes are sovereign, so each tribe gets to decide how they want to bring back the buffalo, even if they aren't buffalo people. There's I was just thinking there's not too many salmon people around here. There's no salmon swimming around here. But there's, as we bring back the plants, like one of the plants that I've been praying with and that I brought with me from the Colville Reservation, from the families up there at Inchelium, and the families, there's 12 tribes, but they were kind enough to share where they get their osha or their bare root. And it grows all over the United States, but even that bare root and the coming together of bare root, osha, buffalo medicine, because buffaloes, they could travel, 20,000 acres. They could travel, and they had a ecosystem, a ecological way of keeping the earth in harmony. And then as they disappeared, also that harmony disappeared. And now that they're returning to many places, the Eni, the buffalo, are bringing back not only for the earth, but a spiritual harmony. And so today, in sharing this kinship, we have human kinship, we have siblings kinship, but we also have kinship with coyote, a trickster. We have kinship with rabbit. We have kinship with Namski, lizard. We have kinship with the Sapu, the wind spirit. We have kinship with snow, snow in the four seasons. And that's, we're right in a great, beautiful rebirthing. On the way down, I could see the calving. I can see the young colts that were just born. You can see the babies that are just at this beautiful time in April, all the babies that are just being born. There's like a renewal. Outside there's different birds here, but there was robins. There's a bird, a bath out there, and so the animals the birds were just coming and bathing in the bird bath. And there was butterflies. The butterflies, pani, come in, and the butterflies show us that we can reemerge in transformation. And so I'm getting excited because we're just in a good transformation that is starting to happen with our people. The transformation of spring. It's like, woohoo! I was looking at the schedule with, I just talked to Steve Barrios, and Montana Two Spirit staff is flying in a couple of hours. River Webb is flying in. All of the Two Spirits are coming here because they're going to dance together in the Grand Entry. And there's so many activities at the Gathering of Nations. You're all invited down. And I know it costs to get in. Parking's kind of an issue, but just come on down, because once you're in there, you'll have all the energy of the thousands of Indians and their outfits. And that's tomorrow evening. I came down to dance with them in Grand Entry with my Kami Poismanics. There's about 200 of us now in the Blackfoot Confederacy, and more orders for transfer of Kami Poismanics. Again, that's just to Blackfoot, or Mskapi Pikani, Siksikai, Kainai, or Butsapikani. No non-Blackfoots should be transferring, or it's not something you just make and you give it to someone. It's only for the Siksikaia to be the Blackfoot Confederacy. And that is from the mouth of Charlene Plume, Rose Fox, head of our Moto Keeks. And I'll just say, it's just like, I was, one of the things I spoke about last week was, when we're a guest. So I'm a guest. There's 19 pueblos. There's Navajo Nation, the Four Corners. There is all of these this is sacred land, the Hopi, the sacred Hopi. My best friend, Don Ami, is from the Bear Clan at Second Mesa, and they're going to be doing prayers for us and prayers for the earth. I just have so much respect for that seasonal prayers that are going on. And I'm going to pause for a moment because, I keep looking. I wanted to share some buffalo Eni stories. And there's a Thunderheart film that's out, like Bringing Them Home. There's a film called Bring Them Home. And then one of our Cree relatives up in Alberta made a film called Singing the Buffalo Home. There's many Eni films that can, and the film is good because it can tell a condensed short story of the Eni. But the one that I'd like to share with you is the protection that the buffalo robe brings, the protection of even the buffalo horns being used for for cups, being used for the buffalo horns. I always like to bring in the love of the buffalo. The buffalo horns were used to keep the flint, or to keep the fire going. That's why you have fire keepers, the flint inside of the buffalo horn, because when we traveled, especially in wintertime, they had to keep the spark so that they could start a fire quickly. And two sticks with striking, sparking the buffalo had. So I got to harvest a buffalo 1 year ago because I won the Alder lottery to get a bull buffalo. And that the kinship has a lot to do with it, because the kinship of distributing that buffalo meat up to an Alberta, the buffalo meat that went even in this household. When my mother had her 85th birthday, my brother, out of respect, he drove all the way down or up to Montana and drove all the way down back here just to celebrate my mom's birthday. My sister Wanda got on a plane in Oakland, California, and flew home to celebrate my mom's birthday. And so when the buffalo story, I was taught, when you get 530 pounds of buffalo meat, which is what I got after it was harvested and packaged, was like 530 pounds of meat. And so most of it was given out to relatives in Canada. If someone comes visit me, I give them some steaks or some buffalo hamburger is really good. You can make meatloaf, you can make spaghetti. It's just like buffalo. And that's so my brother had driven up, and I said, bring your coolers and dry ice. So when he drove straight up, and and this is this kinship, this fighting around about stuff is not something that Indian people did. We had protocols. And so I just gave him the key to my house, because I said, here's the key, go up and shop my freezer. So we're down in Browning getting ready for the 85th birthday for my mom, Scriptadaki, yellow flower woman. So I give him, here's the key to my house, shop my freezer. And I just loved it because I told him, and shop, whatever. So he took all the buffalo ribeyes, took all the buffalo steaks, and no worry, shopped the buffalo meat and had 3 coolers full of buffalo meat, which that means this family where I'm staying in their home gets to eat healthier. My favorite buffalo story is one of the Eli. They always do their homework and they're doing really good in school, and they have a really good school system here because all the children are brown. They all, all the children are brown at these schools here. But my favorite is he was doing his homework. He had his tablet, and Ira had cooked him a buffalo ribeye. So it's a big old, and they were just letting him eat his meat while he was doing his homework. So it's just like, so Blackfeet just chewing on a big old buffalo ribeye. I mean, like chewing on it, working on his tablet, doing his homework. doing his math and learn, and he's it's just so beautiful. So I thought, wow, is that how our Indian world from the 1800s and 1900s and 2024, we have our young Blackfeet just chewing on a buffalo ribeye doing his homework. And Eli he's the technologically whiz. So is Adrian, and so is Stormy, but they're all they love learning. And so I just in this living with them, I explained how we used to have to look up things in books, and then I'll say, well, Google that, because they're asking me questions like, what does a beaver look like? What does a beaver do? So in all, before I even talk about beaver bundles, they want to know what water animals do. What does a loon do? They want to know all of these water animals that beavers, you watch the season when they come back, and you watch. And so I just love it. So they'll say, Google that, then they Google it, and then we talk about it. We're all sitting at the table. I had shopped, and we'd made some lemon chicken. We had, and I was trying to get him to try new stuff, so I got seaweed, not dry seaweed. They like dry seaweed, but fresh seaweed. And there was sushi, but they weren't quite ready for the mami. So I said, for Auntie, will you take one more bite? So they were all like, tasted the seaweed and just like chewing it. And then they liked it. And I said, well, seaweed, the nutrients in the greens in the oceans is 40 times the nutrients in the greens that grow on the land. So then they had questions about the land, and I just loved being with my kinship, this kinship that we spoke about, being with young people, because they ask good questions, and you have time to tell stories, and not just tell them the answer, but tell them a story. And so getting back to Eni, last night I had a dream where there was an abundance of buffalo, like just running across the plain. There was a abundance of Eni buffalo. And if there's more than 85 tribes with herds of buffalo, we're in that prophecy of when the buffalo return. And so I'll last year, one of the things, this is what I learned, is I was asked by Roger Prairie Chicken to get a bladder of the buffalo. And the bladders, the scrotums, everything was used. But so I had watched it done. My Ganaxtimada, Leon Rattler, and some of the Rick Grounds, who we've lost, and we're all still grieving Rick Grounds is lost. But I had seen them, get the bladder. And when you're out on the plains, there isn't like places to wash. So our people would, my mom taught me that you need to have boiling water. So if you make a fire and you boil water, but she said, when you go out there, just get coffee thermoses and put boiling hot water in there. And then, bring a bucket, bring with fresh water. So I got lake water. And when you're cleaning that bladder up, because that was my instruction and I didn't know what for. And sometimes when you're learning, you just do it. They say they only tell you once or ask you once. You just do it. You don't, it's just, so I took the bucket, put the water in, and put the boiling, and I cleaned the bladder. Washed the bladder so it's clean. And then there's a little tiny, and we still have the same our anatomy, our bladders. There's just a little tiny hole. So we figured out we had to cut a little, and we blew up that bladder. And I had brought some sinew and then we tied off the top just like a balloon. But this is, we gave offerings, we smudged, we had a lot of ceremony, and so I took this blew up bladder, and I hung it inside my truck till I got it to my mom's home, and we hung it in a place till it dried. And when it dries, I had to deliver that. So my sister Atstanikiwa Lori, she was very, very good with she had made a container, like a cylinder container, and she had made so that we could put the blown up bladder in there. It wouldn't bump, and it could travel. So that there was a lot of prayer and ceremony about bringing this buffalo bladder up to Alberta. And so when I did deliver it, I brought it in that container, and I just did what I was told. And when I gave it to Roger, he said, "This will go with the horn bundle, and our families will get prayers." So you don't know how meaningful that is when we know our family will get prayers. That means, no matter what goes on, that's why the buffalo is so important. Is all of the ceremony attached to the buffalo robe for transfers, the buffalo, every inside, the buffalo guts, the buffalo tail, the buffalo head, the buffalo nose, especially the buffalo tongue. All of these are important. I'm doing my I'm live. So yeah, I'll come down as soon as I'm done. Me and Minnie, we're just having our visit. That kinship where I'm here. I love spending time with my brother's wife. They we just have a good visit, and so I took some time. So this buffalo, when Roger said what it was used for, I knew everything was going to be okay. I knew that things were going to go good. I just knew all these, because just that simple act, it was when your elder asks you to go braid sweetgrass, or your elder asks you to go get grandfather root, or your elder asks you to bring them flat cedar, that's an honor. When your elder asks you to bring fresh mountain water, or your elder asks you to bring, any kind of these medicines, and you bring it, you get prayers. So when you need help, if you do this just regular, that's why if we do our ceremonies on the full moon, if we do our ceremonies on the new moon, last night I was showing the kids how to look at the seven brothers and the Big Dipper, and they were, where? So then we took our time, and I showed them where the seven brothers were, and I know they'll remember as children to look up, and they'll know the beginning of creation story, when they can identify the bunch stars, when they can identify the Gakadokzikoan, the star people are always there because we come from them, and they give us help. And it was so beautiful, because they now know how to, the Big Dipper. And I'm crying because I'm happy. This is just the happiness of when young people listen to you, and they're in awe, and they're amazed at the beautiful things that are in the sky. Because last night I was telling them, I said, you can always ask the star people for prayers. Our family, our kinship, we all, Gakadoksi, go on. You can always look at the universe. The universe is the energy of the universe, the flux, as Leroy Little Bear, it's they're not they're not inanimate. They got energy, and that energy you could ask them for help. So I was talking to him, just saying, when you go outside and you look up at the stars, ask the star people. Even if you got a hard math test or whatever, ask the star people to help you study and to help you to remember, to help you to learn that. So anyway, it was like kind of like we were looking at how much the star people could assist them and they could ask for help. This kinship, okay, so part of what I wanted to share with you today is make a plan, because now it's springtime. We'll have, in our area, the bundles, when they hear the first thunder, pay attention, put out some tobacco for all of those who hear the first thunder and the ceremonies happen. Here they have feasts. Everyone here is getting ready for, there's 19 pueblos. They get to go out, and there'll be some private ceremonies, but there'll also be open, where kachina dancers come, or where we have crown dancers come. And I'm really looking forward, because Native Wellness Institute, we're doing a training here on April 30th and May 1st with the conservation groups around from Alaska all over. The conference, the indigenous conservation groups are getting together, and we're doing some healing with them. So that's kind of, eventually I get to, from doctor's orders, I get to go back to work. I come to you today just for this 1 hour to give you positive, productive, and proactive things that we can do together. And I'm talking about kinship, but I'm officially going back to work April 30th. And boy, has it been good. Take a little bit of time off. I haven't been I'm not looking at my emails. And I'm actually taking the dopamine fix from screen. I've been shutting off my phone, or I put it away, and I've just been visiting. I really encourage you to sit down with a cup of tea and with elders with their cup of coffee in the morning and visit. Me and my brother, we were laughing because he did a joyful visit to where we grew up in some parts in Northern California, and they went out snowshoeing, so they're Northern California snowshoes and just taking care of stuff. But he got to tell me all the stories of what he remembers, and doing that. And my brother is like, hardcore on the land and kind of, weapons, etc., because he's a hunter, etc., all that. But we got to tell stories, and I was telling him, because I said, have you noticed how much the land has changed in just these short 50 years, 30 years, 10 years? So the climate change is happening fast, and our land is changing, and we got to help save. It's nothing anyone can correct individually, but we got to be more prayerful in the ceremonies with our land. So I was just, it's not about just eating green chili, and it's about praying with the corn pollen. It's about listening to the stories. And so I'm kind of looking forward to meeting a lot of the kinship here. And of course, there's a bunch of Blackfeets getting on planes coming down here because they want to dance for the people, not necessarily for competing. It is a competition powwow, but dancing for those that can't dance. And I want my hats off to, and again, another invitation. The 28th annual Two Spirit Gathering is on Flathead Lake, and starts around August 15th. You can come and be in ceremony. It's all ceremony, so no drugs or alcohol are allowed, any of that kind of stuff. But last year we had people from Peru, we had people from all over Canada, and we had conglomerates. There's like the Denver Two Spirit Club. There's like the South Dakota Two Spirit group. There's like the Portland area two spirits. So they all come together and pray with each other. So you're also welcome to come to that gathering. The other thing before I leave you today is Native Wellness Institute and the Native Dads Network and the White Bison and the American Cancer Foundation and Al Pooley's the Native Fatherhood and Families NAFA. We're all coming together because we're not competing with each other. We're coming together in a healing at Suquamish. So you're also invited to that. You better register because I think they have to cut it off at or 300 or 400. But that registration you can go to on this page or Native Dads Network or White Bison or any of them have it listed. But that gathering, there's going to be good. One of the highlights is Sharon Day is going to come and to speak about the water. We're going to have prayers for the water. And Suquamish is, it's all cedar house open to the ocean. Last time we were there's going to be they're going to go out on the canoes. Last time we were there was dolphins swimming around. There was, just so that Sharon Day is going to be a speaker. So come listen to Sharon because she is one of the main water walkers. She just finished a water walk. I can't believe anyway, she'll be. And one of the other speakers I wanted to invite you is Dr. Clayton Small is coming. And I think the American Cancer Foundation is bringing Clayton. But Clayton, the reason you should come visit with him is when he got his PhD, and this is over 20 years ago, he interviewed 240 Native men. And in his work, he interviewed them, and the question posed to these Native men is, how did you heal as a Native man? How did you heal? And recorded their responses. And a lot of their responses were returning to dancing, learning more of the language, learning more of the ceremony, and reclaiming what the roles as an Indian man to come back into not only the dance arena, but how their maturity, and it has to do with quitting drinking. A lot of the men said that they didn't feel like they healed or matured until they quit drinking. So that anyway, Clayton will be there, but how else did they heal? How else did they learn to not do things like give the silent treatment? Did you know that's very abusive to give the silent treatment? So Indians, listen up. That's not the way. You got to dialogue. You got to have compromise. You got to have forgiveness. You got to have apology. You have to. These are the kinds of things in a mature relationship. It isn't just blocking someone. Although you can. Anyway, so Clayton is going to be one of the speakers. But I wanted to just invite you because one of the things is we're going to have teachings of the canoe and what's involved in being, not only with the canoe journey, but to pull and the discipline. It's almost like, being a different way of being a sun dancer. You have to get prepared, and you have to get prepared to pull. And there's dugout canoes, and we're going to have teachings of canoe also at that gathering and healing together. So this kinship, I want to return back to a family of choice and blood family. I was reminded, Dawn is a full-blood Hopi, and Holly, Mandan, Hidatsa, Arikara, Northern Arapaho, she has that lineage. But that's not, I come from Siksikatepi, the Blackfoot Confederacy. But ever since the 70s, these two, and they married and they have 4 beautiful children, a whole bunch of grandchildren, you know. And I was just that kinship. We grew up together trying to finish college at UC Berkeley, going to all of the hard classes, and we did. We lived through that together, you know, and we were all meager, poor students, but that kinship, we built the kinship because we supported each other. And we were laughing because we did crazy things like the Native American Student Association for Cinco de Mayo. We volunteered to help Cinco de Mayo and make tacos and sell tacos that would give to the, at that time they called it Hispanic Latino. Now there's, you know, other words that are used, but it was just so funny because here you had a bunch of Indians, you know, Lakotas, Navajos, Blackfeet, and we're all behind. We're selling tacos. We're making tacos, refried beans. We're making, you know, we had beef and chicken, and we had salsa, and we had, you know, jalapenos in here. And we were just real, and there was such a big line, and it was making tacos, and we were just laughing, and we were in the back. We go, hey, bunch of Indians making tacos. But it was that's kinship. In celebration of Cinco de Mayo, we were all making tacos. And anyway, I was visiting with them yesterday, and we got to share. We're all getting older, you know, and visit your kinship that's getting older. My only goal was to come and to look into their eyes and to have a cup of tea with them and laugh and tell stories. Storytelling. I just come from the matriarch storytelling gathering in Missoula, and the greatest medicine you can give is a story. So we were sharing our stories, and so I really got to hear, you know, there's a lot of prayers here in the Southwest, especially for the Hopi. Their prayers are going. They'll be in the Kiva, and their storytelling is happening. I also, you know, it was so good to see my friend Holly, because Holly, she was always one of the most majestic, you know, on her buckskin, her beaded buckskin. She was always a majestic dancer, and so we got to just reminisce, and we were reminiscing about, you know, things that we knew nothing about back then. We went to Firebird Lake, and there was a stick game. Indians from all over were playing stick game against each other, and here we didn't know. We're just crazy, acting all crazy. And then, you know, that kinship about stories when we were in our 20s, stories when we were in our 30s, stories, and, you know, and a lot of my kinship is retiring. Some are semi-retired. And we were laughing about that. Like, when do they say don't die at your desk. Just don't work so that you die at your desk. Retire a little, go out and do stuff. And then I guess that's why I'm on this trip of self-care and visiting all my kinship, because I needed to take a pause to do healing with not only, you know, the cancer, that I'm cancer free, but I needed to visit my kinship. I needed to eat meals, have prayers with your kinship, meet all their grandchildren, have conversations, let them ask questions. And even if you don't know the answer, you figure it out together. So the last story I'm going to share with you in this, you know, and it has to do with Natua Pisaki, Carol Murray. Carol Murray and I have always been real close in kinship, and I don't like close like a good friend. We're cousins, we're blood related, her grandfather and my grandma are brother and sister, but it's closer than that. Kinship is closer. It's spiritual. And so one of we always she gave me this jean jacket in 2014 with the Indian relay that was at North American Indian Day. She gave me this jacket. So it reminds me of in the 70s, everyone has a jean jacket, but they also have patches on it. You know, American Indian Movement, you know, Handsome Lake. And I'm putting a patch on, and this is the story that I'll kind of wind down with. I'm going to go, we're sewing, so I'm going to sew a patch on that says, Napi said cults are a no-no. Which is, it is a patch, it's yellow, and it says, Napi says cults are a no-no. And the story has to go about when the Scientologists came to the Blackfeet Reservation. And the Scientologists, they're sneaky. They're sneaky because one of the sneaky ways they came is they would have free chiropractic care and start talking to people while they're getting rid of their pain at all the powwows and at gatherings and stuff. And so that's how, that was their way to sneak in, was to give free chiropractic. Anyway, long story short is they came, and a bunch of our people, they would take them and fly them down to Southern California and brainwash them into Scientology and recruiting other Scientologists. Anyway, this went on, but there were several people just started to, that patch came from the library in Browning, Montana, that, you know, Blackfeets don't join cults. That's what they was calling Scientology. So everyone had that patch. So I'm going to go sew it on my jean jacket. And it ended up, the head of Scientology and a bunch of Indians were on native calling. And we essentially told the Scientologists to get the frickin' hell off our land. We didn't want what they were having to offer. And they were like, what? Just think if we could have told all the colonizers to get frickin' off of our land, eh? Back anyway, they left and the Scientologists stopped. Well, they'll probably, you know, when they want to come back, it's just like with legislation, or they want to come back with anything, they sneak in and they're patient to try to take our land, to take our ceremonies, and to take our culture. I was laughing because we had Earl Operson, a lot of drum contests, and I was laughing with some of the old person family, and because they had a meme that said, you know you're a real Indian if you're born at an IHS hospital. So I was going, oh no, and you don't know, I just want to go there. But if you're born at an IHS hospital, you're a real Indian, eh? So I was teasing them. I said, you know, like at our hospital, my chart number is 755. You know, that means I was the 755th baby born at our new Indian House Service Hospital. And I said, because now that, you know, people have big numbers, and I said, I was born in that old conference room where tribal health was. That was where all the babies were born. That was where I was born. So they were going, really? You know, really? You know, black piece, really? I was really born there. And I said, that kind of history. And that was 1955. I was born in 56. So think about your kinship 50 years ago, 30 years, your kinship now. And just do your best to visit with each other and to love each other up. Show your unconditional love by cooking for them, by bringing them. I bought a bunch of medicines, and we won't go there. I'm just gifting out because I was taught you should give out your medicines. And that the best prayer you could pray for anyone is to pray that they have a long, healthy life. And I caution you because I think sometimes people, you know, they say, be specific. So it's like you don't say, oh, I wish my uncle would quit drinking, because the way that the medicine might understand it is his life ends. He quit drinking. You have to be specific. So remember, when you pray, pray that people have long, healthy lives. And so that's what I'm going to leave you with today, is that all of you, I'm going to go and I'm going to sow. And whoever is on here, I'm going to put out prayers. And whoever watches this, I'm going to pray that you have a long, healthy life. And just come dance grand entry tomorrow tomorrow evening if you're in Albuquerque, or come up to Indian Days, the second week in July, and we seat our 5 new council members, 5 positions. Come celebrate with us. Come for the Eni Days in June. Just all of that. Native Wellness Institute. Our mission is to keep the teachings of our ancestors alive. So anything that falls under that umbrella, we will bring to you. So you can go to www.nativewellness.com and request anything, any of our team, and you can request anything, and we'll figure out how to make that happen. So with that, I'm gonna it's air conditioning in here, but woo, it's warm, and I just I have to get used to being hot. But with that, I'm gonna say kitakito matsuno, and I love you very much, and I appreciate that you come on this every Wednesday, and we get to dialogue on healthy things, Wellness Wednesday. So we'll see you next Wednesday.